Cross-company issue tracking. I'm Francis. I'm from Hidalgo. We're a Belgian company, like Hilde said. There's still chocolates at our stand, so if you're hungry or if you have a coffee, come over. We are a Platinum Solution Partner in Belgium and France, and also an add-on developer for the Table Grid editor and Escalate, which I will present today. All right, so there's some Windows effect. Everybody's using Jarrah internally, and I'm pretty sure with the help of META-INF that everything is set up correctly, that you are managing your projects, that you know who should do what, when, and if there's an issue or like a blocking issue, you will find about it. And that's really nice. And if you look at the number of people using issue trackers or help desk systems or task management systems, it grows tremendously. We have seen how Atlassian is growing, but also you have SanDisk, Freshdesk, ServiceNow, Salesforce. Everybody needs such a system to get organized internally. Now, the fact is today, everything is connected to everything. And the chance that you're going to work with another company is just, it's going to happen. The chance that this other company is also using an issue tracker is also happening all the time. So whenever you have a task, you will, well, the thing is you will send that task either by email or by telephone, and you will ask, can you please do this thing? Yeah? And what happens is that the other side will then key in that issue in their issue tracker and manage it there. And whenever you say, well, what's now the status of this thing? You have to call them or send an email again. And it's really hard to work in a separate environment. So it's really hard to know what's going on and what's happening. Now, to provide you some real-life use cases, the first one is the one why we started with Escalate is we, as a solution partner, we are working with a number of customers who are using Jarrah themselves. And whenever they have an issue for us, they will raise it in their Jarrah. And that's really hard to manage as a solution partner because you have all these tickets everywhere, and creating a consolidated view is not easy. Yeah? So different teams working on disconnected systems, is that something that you recognize in your day-to-day job? Another example is help desk to development. You have a Jira service desk and a Jira software. Yeah? And a ticket is raised by a customer, which needs to be solved by the product team. So how do you transfer this information to the other side? So you can copy it, you can call. How do you solve this? And a third type of use case is consolidating project information. So you can imagine that if you're working with multiple teams that each have their own project configuration with their own settings, how do you report on it? For instance, if someone says this issue is resolved, is it then already available in the release? Yeah? Or for someone else, there's another status. So how do you translate this into one overview that you have a good report of what's going on? So the thing is, what we say is information clutter equals business clutter. Because if you don't work on the same information, or not on all the information, you get some issues that you have to discuss, set up meetings, and that's not really efficient. Yeah? You're losing quite a bit of time. Now, some companies are trying to solve this by manually copying data from one system to another. One of the companies in Antwerp, where we work, has 4 people who are copying data from one system to another, all the time, full time. Another example is, as a project manager, you spend 20% of your time in copying data to your Excel to have your project view. Now, so that might not be the best solution. Another one is that you probably recognize, email is evil. Who does agree with that? Yeah? Okay, couple of them, couple of you. So the thing is, collecting data is complex, creating an overview is a nightmare, and that's not working either. Yeah? And the third one, which we call your place or my place, is that one of the two parties will say, let's use our Jarrah. And that's fine if you have only one project. But if you have to handle 4 projects, then you have to deal with 4 different environments to solve your problem or to track your project. So of course, everybody's using synchronization today. On your phone, if you change your contact address, that contact information will be synchronized to your desktop so that you can use it there. Yeah? So you might wonder, why is real-time synchronization a solution for this thing, for this business problem? And we think, if you can imagine that you can connect your Jira with the Jira of all your customers and your suppliers, yeah? And whenever you raise an issue, it gets synchronized to the other Jira automatically. Then you have all the time the crucial information up to date. Comments are being exchanged immediately. You have all the information on the same location. And the next business benefit is that you are working on your own environment with your own workflows and with your own custom fields and categorization and everything else. So you don't need to change seats, jump to the other servers to understand what's going on. So keeping track of your project is simpler. Now, let's do a demo. And this is new because we introduced at Atlassian Summit ServiceNow compatibility. So what I will demo is a synchronization between ServiceNow and Jarrah. Because with Escalate, you can not only do Jarrah to Jarrah synchronization, but also to GitHub, SanDisk, HP Quality Center, ServiceNow, Salesforce is coming up, and probably BMC Remedy. All right, so let's create an incident on ServiceNow, escalate it to Jira, and then synchronize any information. So here you have maybe some alien interface. Who's using ServiceNow? There you go. So we created an incident, and you can see here there's a small checkbox, which I will highlight in a moment. Yeah? So I submit it. Here you see a screenshot of what we call the triggers. So you can define in the Escalate console what incidents should be synchronized with Jarrah. And so you just specify all the issues where the Escalate checkbox has been checked should be sent over. Okay, so let's do this. Yeah. And then this is Synchronization Queue, which I will show in a moment, which will show how that one incident gets synchronized. So I will change now the checkbox, submit it, do an update, and then go to the Synchronization Queue, refresh. You will see that the incident is being sent. So what happens is Escalate will pick up the incident, transform it to a message, send it over to the Jarrah, and there's an Escalate on the Jarrah which receives the message and will create an issue. And then the Jarrah will send back an acknowledgement. Yeah? So you will see here on the Jarrah view, you will see on the bottom right a synchronization status panel saying, okay, this issue is now fully synchronized with ServiceNow. Now, okay, so now if I change the summary, I put take 2, yeah, then Escalate on the Jarrah side will pick up the change, send it as a message to the ServiceNow side, and once that is synchronized, sometimes it takes some time. Once it's synchronized, if you now refresh the view, you will see that the description changed in take 2 itself. Okay, and of course it is fully bidirectional. Come on. Yeah. So there you see you have a synchronization between ServiceNow and Jarrah itself. Yeah. Now you might wonder, okay, how do you configure this thing? Now, we're talking about cross-company issue tracking. And you can imagine if you link your environment with the environment of your customers, of your partners, there are some properties that are really important. We think there are three: flexibility, reliability, and autonomy. So first of all, flexibility. Why is flexibility important? Because if today you set up a synchronization with your first customer, and tomorrow with your second customer, yeah, it might be that the second customer has new requirements that your solution doesn't provide. So if your solution is not future-proof, you're locked and you have a problem. So you want to be sure that your solution is future-proof. I will show this with Jarrah to Jarrah synchronization. What we have is in the field remote assignee, which contains the name and the email address of the person handling the issue on the other side. Yeah, it's just a text field. Now, if I change this to a colleague, yeah, and get it synchronized, yeah, it's synced over, then a refresh, you will see it has been updated. Now, how is this configured in the product? So let's have a look. So this is the administration view of the Escalate console on Jarrah. If you access the synchronization rule, you will see that we are using Groovy as a scripting language to configure the synchronization. And because we have this scripting language, you can configure almost any use case. Yeah? We try to make it as simple as possible so that with your basic Groovy understanding, you can configure the synchronization itself. So with this, you can imagine if someone is saying, I would like to synchronize the status of the other side to a comment internally. So whenever the status changes, I want an additional comment. It is pretty easy to do. Another example is the multi-level escalation, where you have a Jarrah on the customer side, a service desk on your DMZ, and an internal development server. And whenever the customer is raising an issue, that goes to your service desk as a ticket, and then that one goes through to the internal development server because the support engineer elects to do so. Now, whenever the customer adds a comment, it ripples through to the issue on the development server. But also the way around. Whenever a developer adds a comment, then that comment ripples through to the customer, if you want so. Because what this customer did was, they say, well, whenever the comment starts with "Dear customer," then only then it can be published on the other side. And that's what flexibility in Jarrah, in Escalate provides you. And that's why some customers say it's as flexible as Jira itself. Now, to understand the flexibility, we do provide quite a bit of documentation. On docs.escalate.com, you can find hundreds of different use cases which have been configured with Escalate itself. But next to that, we understand there's some learning curve. We will help you during a 2-hour session with one of our experts to set up your first synchronization. So if you think, okay, let's evaluate this, we have a use case, just give us a bell, let us know, and we'll set up the workshop. Now, I was talking about flexibility as one of the properties. Reliability is the next. And especially in synchronization, a lot can go wrong. Your network can go down, or the other Jarrah is busy being upgraded, and you want to be sure that any change being done on your local issues gets synchronized once that the other Jarrah is up and running. So what we provide is an old slide. So what we provide is a synchronization engine, which is transactional, in the sense that that every synchronization can be interrupted whenever something fails. So for instance, if the other Jarrah is down, then there's a connection error. As an administrator, you will be notified, and you can check, okay, what's going on. Once that the other Jarrah is up and running again, you can resume the synchronization, and it can continue from that point onwards. Then I have to skip some slides. This one is the sync engine. Now with this sync engine, you also have the capability to do private to public synchronization, meaning if you want to connect your Jira cloud to your internal Jira server, you don't need to open up your firewall, because in this configuration, your private instance will reach out to the public asking for any change that have been queued. Okay. Third property, which is important as we think, is the autonomy. And autonomy is about ensuring that you are in full control of your own configuration. You don't want to get into a situation that you cannot change your local configuration because there's a dependency on the other side. So what Xlib solves this problem so what you have to do is to put up an Xlib on every site. And in that Xlib, you specify what messages you send out and what the content is of these messages and how incoming messages are being processed. Yeah. So did you have a question? No? Oh, no, okay, I misinterpreted. So the distributed architecture allows you to reduce the dependencies and then also scale to larger networks. So Escalate is a cross-company issue tracking solution which provides flexibility, reliability, and autonomy. Yeah? So thank you for your attention.